I'm going to show you the best ways to make coins fast in Roblox Islands that include with and without trading other players. Before I jump into this, if you like having lots of coins, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more videos like this one. Now, I think it goes without saying, acquiring coins or items in Islands or any Roblox game for that matter using real money like US dollars or euros, whatever your country's currency is, Robux, or trading items from other games for items or coins in Islands is bannable by Roblox and the devs. So please do not do it. I want you to be able to keep playing the game and enjoying this content that I create, because if you're banned, you're not going to be playing the game and you're not going to be watching my content. So don't get banned. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So number one is going to be selling super rare items. Currently difficult to find items like the purple firefly can go for billions of coins. The common price tag I've heard on this item is around 10 billion, though people are getting a lot more of these. This isn't uncommon either. This is actually not only for the purple firefly. I remember back when the food processors came out and before we had a cap of 50 billion coins, the legacy food processor was going for upwards to 100 billion coins. So rare items will make you rich instantly, but be careful because this is the most common way to get scammed if you're looking to buy or sell, because you can't use vending machines, right? You can't use vending machines for billions and billions of coins because you have a 50 million limit for your vending machine. So only deal with people that you know, and even better if you're dealing with a content creator or a known trader, and always record your trades. So always record your trades. So while this can make you the most coins in a single trade, you're likely to get scammed or never get the item since it's difficult to get. So there are easier ways to get coins, but this is actually, again, this is the big one. This is the way you're going to get billions fast. So number two, we have capitalizing on updates on the first day of the update. Many players overlook the ability to make tons of coins on the day of updates, and this is actually the most common way to get rich in the game. I could have made 500 million coins on a blueprint that is now worth 120,000 in the game, and that's the Vambo blueprint. And remember the starfruit seeds? I made 35 million on a seed on the first day, and some of you actually made even more than that, but I made 35 million coins on a single seed that I farmed. And granted, that was back when it was really hard to get. So instead of grinding for yourself on the first update day, grind for selling to others and you'll make more coins than you ever imagined possible. And it just requires just some fast grinding. So next time we get an update, grind for the items and sell them to other players fast on public servers or the Discord. Just don't underprice it. If you're at least 13 years of age, you could join my Discord and others will help you price those items same day. Now again, don't be worried about whether or not you're going to get your items, because remember, as soon as the update comes out, prices are always way higher than they will be day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. So if you can be patient to get your own items from this update. So for example, if we have a cow update coming up here, if the cow is going to be worth, 50 million coins the day one, I'm not saying that's what it's going to be worth, but if it is worth 50 million coins, sell your cow and buy it for, maybe $1 million 4 days later. It's okay. Just sell it to people that really are impatient. And because that's the thing, is it's all supply and demand. On day one, the supply is so little that everyone's competing for that supply. So they're willing to spend a lot of coins to be able to get the item that they don't, they don't want to have to grind for it. They want it right away so they can flex it to their friends. So they're willing to pay for that flex, right? They're willing to pay to have it fast. So remember that and make tons of coins day one. So next, number 3 is mass flipping items on Discord trading channels. This one does require you to have Discord and you must be at least 13 years of age to use it. This is not my policy. The age limit is not my policy, but Discord's. Again, so if you're banned by anyone for being underage, it's not because they don't like you. It's not because they're being discriminating your age or anything like that. They just don't want their server deleted. So Discord is known to be the epicenter of trading. This is where career traders have made their billions in the game. So how this works is a trader typically with millions to billions will buy items in bulk at a great discount. So if you're buying lots and lots of something from someone, typically they'll give you a good discount. So if you're gonna say, I will buy all 1,000 or 10,000 of your items, then they're gonna usually give you a really good discount because they don't have to do any more trades. Of course, they're gonna give you a decent discount so they don't have to trade with anyone else. So I've done this myself and it works really well. Remember when I reached 1 billion coins in that day? It's because I bought 10,000 starfruit seeds at a discount and then I flipped them for a profit. This only works for items that people need a lot of though. So for example, if I could buy 1,000 of an item at 50,000 each, it cost me 50 million coins, right? So 1,000 times 50,000 is 50 million coins. And using those same items, if I sold them for a little bit more, say instead of 50,000, I sold them for 75,000 because that's maybe what it's going for in the market, then I'd make 25 million coins in profit since I'd make 75 million total, right? So I've made 25 million off of a 50 million investment. That's incredible. That's a really great way to make a ton of coins. And you can continue to do that. Take that 75 million you just did and invest it again, and maybe you buy 1,500 of that item instead or something. So this is, again, a great way to make coins, but it does require Discord, and it does require a little bit of money to start with. So if you have hundreds of millions already, there's no reason you can go on the Discord and start getting into the billions very quickly, because you're able to trade in a higher tier item. You're able to, start doing this with smelters and things that are in high demand, like presses and, and molds and things like that. So mass flipping is a great way to make coins fast, but you need to at least be 13 years of age to use Discord, and you do need a bit of money to start with to do the mass trade. So that's a little downside, right? So number 4 is going to be flipping items on a published server using the Pro Pass. So you've seen these stores. If you have the Pro Pass, this can be done just as good as mass flipping items on Discord trading channels, since your published server will bring you massive crowds of buyers who will likely buy you out fast. So assuming you have fair prices, you're going to be bought out pretty quickly. And if you remember, I actually did this. I used this method myself when I made 100 million in a day on my main account. But players were like, DV, that's only because, people only bought stuff because you're a content creator, you're a YouTuber. And I had to counter that by creating an alt with the same game pass. So I created an alt with the same Pro Pass that I used, and I was able to sell everything out. I sold everything on that alt. So it has nothing to do with content creator or not. And in fact, I made 220 million on that alt instead of 100 million, just to prove my point that you can actually make stuff fast. So you can make coins very fast by using the Pro Pass and published servers, because they will buy pretty much everything there, as long as you're not overpriced and as long as your items aren't heavily duped. If you're trying to sell items that are heavily duped, like I go to these stores that are on these published servers, and they're not selling much because they're selling vamp bows, they're selling vending machines, they're selling everything that's been heavily duped. But if you're selling stuff that is in high demand, like the factory items right now, or crystallized iron or anything like that, people really need, and you're flipping those items, you're going to make a ton of money. So how this typically works is you're going to see a store setup. If you're going to set up your own store like this, you're going to want to have some vending machines that are specifically set aside for people to sell to you at a nice discount, and not to a point where you're ripping them off. Like, you shouldn't be like buying stuff from people for hundreds if they're worth tens of thousands, but you should actually have machines where you're making enough profit. So maybe you're buying something at 10,000 and you're selling at 15 or 20,000. Doubling your profit is very common. So if something's worth 20,000, it's very common to see someone buying them from players at 10,000, because they do need to make a profit, right? So I can understand that, but don't try to buy stuff for thousands if it's worth 20,000. That's horrible. And I see a lot of stores doing that. But what you do is you buy from players that are low and then you sell high, right? And that is a great way for you to make coins very quickly in the game. And it is fair. So a lot of players might say, well, it's not fair because my smelter's worth $1 million. Well, you know what? Your smelter may be worth $1 million, but they're resellers. So you're going to have to sell your smelter. If you really want to sell your smelter, sell it yourself. For one, sell it yourself. But if you're going to go to a popular server and expect for them to buy your item, just like in real life. So if you go to a pawn shop, you're not going to sell your Nintendo Switch for what you bought it at, will you? No, you're not going to. They're going to buy it for, I would say, probably about 20% of what it's worth. Just like a GameStop. If you go to a GameStop or a game store that's buying you stuff, they're gonna buy your item for way less than what you think you can get for it, because you know what they got to do? They got to sit on it. They got to sell it, right? They got to resell it to someone. So that's how that works. So whenever you go to a shop on a published server, don't heckle them because they're buying stuff for less than it's worth, because they're selling. They got to make a profit. They're not buying it for themselves. They're buying it to make a profit. So they're going to buy your items for way discounted, and they're going to sell them for what it's worth. So you're never going to sell stuff to a shop like that for what it's worth. You're always going to sell it for usually half of what it's worth. So if gold is worth 10,000 or 20,000, depending on what time of the year it is, then you're going to be selling it for half of what it's worth to a shop. So expect that's pretty much the standard right now. The other great thing about this, the other crazy cool thing about published servers, is that if you wait long enough, the system will send you a bunch of buyers at once randomly. So you don't really have to promote your server. You never even have to send your code out anywhere. So the randomizer will kick in and you'll get a flood of buyers instantly, and they'll fill up. And as long as you can keep them there for a little while, and that's why a lot of people do these drop parties, because if they do drop parties, they're going to keep you on there longer, and they're going to continue to fill up, and people are going to continue to buy. This is the same method that retailers use, right? They give you discounts because they want to fill the store and attract crowds, and the more crowds there are, the more people are going to come in and see what's going on. So this is a very common method to make a ton of money quick. And so the upside, again, is this is the most fun and easy ways to make money, but you do need the Pro Pass. It does cost real money, right? You have to actually have Robux to do this. And so you also need some vending machines to start with, as well as items to stock in those vending machines. So this is a little bit higher end. Like, you're going to have to be an established player to really use this. So next we have number 5 is item flipping on public servers. servers. So if you don't have the Pro Pass, don't worry, you could do the same thing on public servers, but I will tell you, you'll need to really work to get those buyers. The best technique here is to set up a vending machine system similar to what you would see on a published server, right? Where you have the buying and selling items through vendings, then mass invite everyone on that server to your island. So if you're on PC, you can actually see on the leaderboard how many coins a player has. And if they don't have millions of coins, you're probably going to want to server hop, because if you only have people that are in the thousands in their balance, for one, they're newer players. And two is if you invite them to your island and you have a bunch of stuff that they can't afford, they're just going to start heckling you. They're going to start criticizing you for overpriced because they can't afford anything on your island. And even though your prices may be fair, they don't think it's fair because they can't afford them. They're going to try to pressure you into reducing your price and giving them a good deal because they can't afford it, because they really want it, but they can't afford it, right? This is the catch here. So you're going to want to server hop quickly until you find a server that actually has people that can actually afford your stuff. Now, if you're on mobile, you can't do anything about this. Just be patient and use this technique that I use. So what you do is you join a server, you invite everyone to your island, and then you announce that you're selling items if anyone wants to visit your shop. If no one visits within the first 2 minutes, or no one buys anything within the first couple minutes of them joining your island, if they're just sitting there staring at an item and they clearly can't afford it, or they're not doing anything, jump to another server and repeat that process. Or I would just put a number in there. You could say you're going to visit 20 servers tonight, or you're going to visit 50, or you're going to visit 100, and then you're going to start making some really good progress, because you're going to sell out, and they're going to sell, especially they're going to sell items. Now, here's the cool tip. So even though I said jump servers, if you're buying items, if you're looking to buy cheap items from players, the best kind of players to go to are the servers where they can't actually afford to buy, but they can afford to sell, because these players actually need coins, and they may have been grinding for pink sticky gears, for example. They might have pink sticky gears in their inventory that they don't know what to do with. So if you go to a server with a bunch of poor players, I'm going to say poor players, new players, and they have a bunch of items that they can actually sell to you, now you're helping them by giving them an opportunity to make some coins, and then you're getting the items that you can actually sell for a lot more money. So that's a great way to do it. And it is just super time consuming. And, you know, I've done this on 3 accounts without game passes, and you just need to make sure you underprice things a little bit. So if you know that you can sell something for 200,000, you know, price it like maybe 180,000, for example, just take a little bit of a loss and you'll sell more this method. But if you really want the optimal pricing, you can price things more if you're on a published server than you can on a public server. So number 6 is getting free items or donated items and selling them. So if you're a big content creator, this is obviously number 1, because for me, I could, you know, get a bunch of free donated items very easily. And that's why I refuse a lot of them. I refuse a lot of them because it ruins the experience if you never grind for stuff. So check out my how to get free stuff video, and I've linked that in the description so you can check that out. But essentially, you can take a bunch of donations from people and sell them to get coins fast. I will tell you though, if this is the only strategy that you employ, you're probably going to quit the game within a few weeks, since you're not really playing it. A game like this would be super boring to play. Grinding is part of the game, so I'd recommend mixing this in with other methods listed in this video. So again, if you're just expecting people to just hand everything to you, and you're gonna play this game until you have all the items, and you're gonna quit and you're gonna start playing something else. So I just don't recommend only waiting for free items or getting free items, and try to grind while you're also getting free items. So that's, as long as you mix it in, that's fine. So next up, we've got selling factory items. So as of this video, creating factory related items like molds, steel press, copper press, and steel mills are easy ways to make a ton of coins. Because factories have so many parts, it's a great way to make coins, since like smelters, many players are going to continue to need these items in order to make progress in the game, right? Because you do need steel mills in order to make steel, so you can make conveyors and stuff, and you need smelters to be able to actually smelt copper. And so there's these cross dependencies between these items that everyone's going to need. So you're going to be able to make a lot of money off of steel mills and things like that, and smelters and copper presses, because people are always going to need them. Molds are going to be a little bit more slow to sell eventually, because, you know, you don't need that many of them. So stick with the things that players are going to need multiples of. So like, you're going to need multiple steel mills, and you're going to need multiple drills. And eventually we may care more about items like the gearboxes. But as of making this video, the purpose of a gearbox has not yet been revealed to us. So it could just be an item that we don't need, but I'm thinking it's going to be something we're going to need a lot more of pretty soon. So, you know, keep a hold of those gearboxes. Next up, we got grinding and selling resources like the crystallized iron, buff cry, and things that have not been heavily duped. This will always be a great way to make a ton of coins, since most players in islands are a bit lazy and would rather buy them from other players who grind, you know, through trading. And because you need these items to craft other items, they are typically not duped as heavily. I know I've mentioned duped a few times, so if you're new, it means duplicated, right? So you're essentially taking one item and duplicating it or making another from it. So you're cloning it. And that actually has ruined the value value of items in the game because people have duped millions and millions of items. So you got to be careful about, you know, duped items in the game. So the crafting resources that are required to make these items have not been duped as much because the dupers or hackers, the glitchers, have actually duped the end product, not the crafting resource. Because why would they dupe the crafting resource if they could just dupe the title spellbook or the smelters or whatever they're, you know, whatever they duped? They don't really have to dupe the crafting items because they already got the end product, and it just saves them a lot of time. So crafting items are a great way to make a ton of money because you can sell those very easily. Everyone's usually looking for things like crystallized iron and buff cry. And again, because no one really wants to grind for those things. Resources, crafting resources are a great way to make a lot of coins. Another great way is grinding gold and selling to vendings and popular servers. So, you know, you can make millions per hour doing this, as you likely saw in my Noob to Pro video using gold. And recently with the factory update, getting gold is even easier now than it was in that video because they made it easier because steel mills do require gold. And similar to rare items, people don't like grinding that much in islands. So whenever someone grinds for stuff, they win big because essentially they own the supply that ends up in the vending machines to other servers, right? So you can make a bit of money without ever having to set up a shop, but just visiting popular servers and selling to those vending machines that are buying gold. Just make sure you're not ever selling for less than 50% of what the gold's worth, right? So if the gold is worth 10,000 right now, sell it for no less than 5,000. That's a general rule. And in some cases, published servers are buying it at value. So because gold is really hard to find sometimes. Now it's a little easier, but you're still going to be able to make some good money off of it. Or you can use any other method of trading and selling to make even more profits of what you grinded for, right? So you can sell your gold directly off of your own island while you're maybe grinding. Just, you know, do what I did. Go to a public server, invite everyone to buy your gold from your vending machines while you're grinding for it. And then when you come back, maybe your vending machines will be emptied. So just make sure you're monitoring, you know, people on the server and constantly inviting anyone new that joins. And that way they can buy from you while you're out grinding for gold. And even better, if you have some friends that you know who will always buy your gold, you know, you can maybe make some friends that are like, hey, I will be your supplier for gold. I'll just grind for you all the time. And that is a great way to make coins. So the last one here that does involve trading is farming copper and steel and selling it to vending machines and popular servers. Again, very similar to the gold method. This is a great way to make a ton of coins since now with factories, steel and copper are always going to be in high demand, though their value is tanking fast since players are creating their own farms, right? Everyone's creating their own steel farms and copper farms, but they're going to need a surge of this. Like a lot of people don't AFK farm. And because of that, even though they have their own steel and copper farms, they won't ever get enough unless they're overnighting. So there's always going to be some kind of demand for these resources. And the players that are AFK farming are obviously going to be winning here because they're getting the most. Like I get about 6,000 overnight for my steel, for example. So those are the top ways to make coins with trading. But what if you wanted to make coins without ever trading? So here are the ways I made the most money without trading. And again, these are methods if you never ever want to encounter another player in the game to have to make coins, right? So the way you're going to be doing this is you're going to be using the NPCs in the spawn lobby near the pond. So there's obviously all the sellers there, the vendors there that you can sell directly to at a huge loss, right? And this is if you want to go full on hardcore mode. You don't want any help from other players. You never want to have to visit another island. And of course, you can mix any of these strategies in with actually selling or using vending machines. It's up to you. And if you're brand new to the game, this is another great way to, you know, figure out how to make coins quick. So I'm going to start with the first one. I've actually used this a few times. And I think a lot of people underestimate the ease of making coins off of wood. So using a wood farm. So there are many ways you can farm wood fast using fast picks or even my auto wood farm. But even with a brand new account, I found this to be the easiest way to make coins without much effort. So first, saplings are really cheap to acquire from the seed vendor. And second, if you bunch your trees up in a way that makes it easy so you don't have to move, you could just use a macro tool with a fast pick and cut down all the trees while relaxing and enjoying a movie in the background. So I was able to make thousands quickly in a game on an alt. And I will tell you, this is just a pleasant way to make thousands of coins fast without much upfront cost or effort. But eventually you're going to want to move on to something else. Once you have enough coins, maybe move on to maybe the onion farm, which is next up. So onion farms are a great way to make coins fast, since while you're farming them, like many of the other crop types, you can end up getting free seeds, right? While many would recommend setting up an auto farm for this, which would end up costing you conveyors, totems, and washers due to oily crops, I'd say don't bother with that and just set up something similar to my onion farm design that I made a while back that doesn't require any totems, and it'll make you a ton of coins per hour. And you can get so many free seeds by doing it this method that it just makes everything so much easier for you to scale with your farm. And the video is linked in the description if you want to check it out. It's you know, it will get you rolling just fine and just continue to expand while you're building out your onion farm. So next up we have fishing. So if you're okay with super active gameplay, fishing is another great way for you to do it. I was able to make tens of thousands of coins within 30 minutes of playing by fishing and selling to the NPC. You also get a chance of getting rare items like the pearl and propeller, which you can actually use for crafting other things in the future, right? So the propeller still goes for about 1 million coins as of this video, but since you're not trading with anyone, you can still just use that for your own industrial washing station in case you do want to make some kind of auto farm that requires oily crops or that creates oily crops. But fishing is just a really great way for you to be able to get quick money. So what I would say is if you're going to do something like this, you could even use fishing as your way to afford wood initially, like your initial like onion crops and your initial wood saplings. You can make a fishing pole really quickly and then just go out and fish a little bit, get a little bit of coins, make maybe like 2,000 coins, and then hop to a different method. Next up, we have hunting mobs. So hunting mobs like slimes and scorps are a great way to make hundreds of thousands of coins in the game by selling slime balls or scales back to the vendor, right? The adventurer. I wouldn't recommend wizard lizards due to their projectiles and because they hurt and they kill you fast and it's going to be really annoying because it's going to cost you a lot of keys. And bufflecore don't really give you anything that you can sell to the adventure NPCs. But you can sell scales and slime balls for enough to keep you busy. The downside is that this does not scale very well over time, but if you're just starting out in the game, similar to fishing, you can get hundreds of thousands of coins within an hour or so of grinding. You'll also get a chance at many rare drops like the pink sticky gears, green sticky gears, all things that you're going to need for crafting items. Next, I'd say starfruit auto farms, because a starfruit farm actually costs a lot to make up front due to the time investment and having to find the seeds on the islands, right? You can find seeds on Bufflecore Island and Wizard Island. You could, of course, just buy the seeds from someone for very cheap, but I'm assuming you're wanting to grind for them. Again, this is a no trade method, right? So this is a no trade method. So the great thing about starfruit is they sell for a lot and they never get oily compared to other crops. So if you wanted to use conveyors or make an auto farm out of them, you can do so and you don't need a washer. So you don't have to wash the crops. You can also make starfruit to make starfruit cake, which is an added bonus if you want to combo like a food processing farm with an actual farm to sell to the vendor. The downside is you have to spend a ton of time finding seeds on the islands, making this a really slow way to get coins fast. Otherwise, it'd be number one. If you want to see an auto farm, check out my starfruit auto farm link in the description. Next up, we got berry farms. So berry bushes used to be the top way to make coins in the game outside of trading until they got nerfed with their value, right? How much the NPC will buy them from you. They're still an amazing way to get coins fast since you can harvest them really fast and you never have to replant. So you can just hold down F on them and just auto pick up, right? And you can fully automate them with conveyors. So great for mobile players if they just want to AFK. And I've actually created a mobile friendly AFK farm. You can check that video out. It is linked in the description for an automated way to farm berry bushes. The downside is if you're not trading for seeds, you get around 1 seed per 100 berries or so. So if you only have a single bush, it's going to take you a while to get a lot of these very quickly. And it takes a while for you to make enough coins for the time investment. So it has become a slower way to get up there, but eventually it can be worth it. So maybe if you're farming your berry bushes constantly while you're doing some other methods, maybe you're working on an onion farm and then you can finally transition over to a berry farm. That's a great way to do it. And then you've got cooking food. So making food is another great way to make a ton of coins. You'll need some equipment like an oven to be able to make some breads and to make some cakes and stuff. And you'll need a cooking table, but after that, you can make your own food and sell them to the baker. The only downside is the scalability since it is a bit time consuming to make until you can get an actual food processor. And the baker changes what he buys every now and then. So it can become a pain when he isn't buying what you're making. This is still one of the most fun ways to make coins though. So if you're patient and enjoy cooking, this is a great way to do it. So those are the current best ways to make coins in the game. The best thing I'd recommend is to try many of them and just see what playstyle works best for you. So I wish you the best of luck with your wealth in the game. Thanks again for watching and I'll see you in game. Peace.